things we have to realize is that since about, well, the past couple of years, there's been a clear pattern of the BRIC countries all hosting major sports events. India is the only one of the BRICS who hasn't hosted a first order game, but for the rest, all the BRIC countries have or will soon have hosted a major event. So this clearly shows us that hosting these major sports events is a kind of a signaling project, a project of global projection, and one in which these countries all very specifically seek recognition. The discourse in South Africa was one in which, and it was a very important discourse, was to show that Africa can host it. And the theme of the South African World Cup in 2010 was "It's Africa's turn." So there was a very, very important emphasis, normative emphasis on demonstrating that Africa is not this marginalized continent, that it is able to host something as big as a World Cup, and that there is, and this is very central to Mbeki's personal view of the world and what he wanted to project, is that Africa can be both African and modern at the same time. And I saw a quote by President Lula, which is very similar, you know, and he said something like, for Europe, the United States, hosting an Olympics or hosting the World Cup is just another chance to do this. But for Brazil to host it is a chance to host that Brazil can also do this. So this is central and significant to all of the BRIC countries. And the important dimension of this is recognition, to be recognized as an equally important power in the world, and that the distribution of power in systems of global governance are very distorted. However, hosting mega events is fraught with complexities, and there are at least 4 of these complexities, which I'm not going to speak about, but I'm just going to quickly highlight them. And these are national identity on the one hand and external projection on the other. The other one is legacy, the debate about costs and benefits. Is all the money worth our while for what we get out of hosting the games? The third one is a debate about sovereignty, and to what extent does the state really maintain control over this event, and to what extent does it have to cede a lot of control to other bodies, specifically in the case of FIFA, it's very well known. And in other cases where you have non-democratic countries, there's also a debate about democratization, and so on. So these 3 or 4 debates occur throughout the literature on hosting mega events. Maybe I should just mention the first one, the national identity external projection one. I call it a kind of exercise in marketing power. So what states do is they want to project globally who they are, how important they are, what does it mean to be Brazilian, what does it mean to be South African, in the hope that this would kind of put the country or the city on the global map, and that it would trigger tourist arrivals, more economic benefits of the long term. But it also has an internal domestic dimension, and this dimension is to celebrate what it means to be Brazilian, to celebrate what it means to be Indian, to celebrate what it means to be South African. And generally, these major sports events are very well in the extent that they do this. They really succeed in projecting the country globally. They often succeed in celebrating national identity, but very few of these major events really succeed in making money for the country. It's usually a very, very expensive exercise in getting huge international publicity. I think we could think of these cities as equivalent to states, in the sense that these cities have a certain type of soft power, so that Rio and Cape Town has a type of soft power as a city, which Johannesburg or Sao Paulo or Pretoria and Brasilia doesn't have. And it's a particular type of power, and this power is the power of an appeal. And if you want to project the image and the identity of Brazil, how do you do this? You probably, most people in the world are going to do it through thinking about Rio. And in the South African case too, Cape Town, the Table Mountain, there are certain clear iconographic images that translate globally, and that is the added advantage of these cities that are not the financial hubs, they're not the political hubs, but they are connected to the kind of global culture, consumer, tourist industries, service industries, which then as a spillover benefits other parts of the country. So if you've got this draw of a city or an image, that helps the rest of the country. So I think that's how I think that would be useful, to think of cities as having a type of soft power, these secondary order powers that other countries don't have, and that's why.